My deceased best friend's dark secret is destroying my marriage. Her daughter is likely my husband's. But the shocking truth changed everything. My best friend since elementary school, who I'll call Alice, passed away in February from cancer. She had a 2-year-old daughter who went into the custody of her mom Alexis after she passed away. She'd always been at least a little standoffish towards my husband as she thought I could do better. The first time she visited after she gave birth, she asked where he was since he wasn't home, for the first time, but she never asked again after that. Last month Alexis showed up on our doorstep unannounced, telling my husband he needs to take responsibility for his child and either take custody or start finally paying child support. She says that Alice had told her when her daughter was born who the father was, but didn't want anything to do with him. During this conversation, my husband had the worst panic attack he's ever had, so we had to end the conversation before I could get more details. My husband's story is, I don't even know. He said that Alice's daughter is probably his, but that isn't what I think. Almost 3 years ago, we threw a large housewarming party. We'd just moved into our dream home after I had finally finished residency and was set to make real money for once. Alice was in town and set to be at the party, but I was called into work before she got there. I didn't return until after 3 a.m. when the party was winding down. My husband was passed out upstairs, and Alice had already left the party, which at the time I found strange as we hadn't seen each other in months. My husband claims he woke up in the middle of the night to Alice on top of him, but he passed out again before he could say anything. He claims he never told me because he was worried I wouldn't believe him. He showed me some texts he sent his best friend the next day asking for his advice about him thinking someone roped him, but if he cheated, he could have had that conversation as evidence, especially since he never said Alice specifically. Ever since the party, he has been very distant from Alice, and after she had her daughter, he would even find excuses not to be around the house when she would visit at all. I don't know if that's because he cheated or if Alice did rope him, and this was his trauma response. Update 1. I've realized that my husband is being truthful. My best friend roped him. Several people pointed out that with Alice not liking my husband, if it was an affair, she would have told me when she was dying, if only to separate us. I was there, in the room while she passed. I held her hands for days, we talked about so much. If it was just an affair, she would have told me. But if she roped my husband, she wouldn't have said a word. That's the type of thing horrible people take to the grave. I've also realized I made a terrible mistake by asking my husband to leave for a few days while I gathered my thoughts. Not to make excuses, but losing my best friend to cancer, a long cancer fight at that, was brutal. To say that I was devastated wouldn't do it justice. That it happened only 6 months ago, I still feel it daily. So to have this thrown on me, it's like I'm losing her all over again. Either she betrayed me, and fucked my husband, or she betrayed me and roped my husband. Not only have I lost her, but now I've lost the good memories, an entire lifetime's worth. I called my husband, I apologized, told him I believed him, and begged him to come home. He'll be here in half an hour at most, and I will support my husband the way I know he would have supported me. My best friend roped my husband, which means she was no friend of mine. She flaunted it, coming to my house, sitting with me, and gabbing. She brought her child here, trying to rub it in his face right before me. She tortured the man I loved, and I was an unknowing party to it. I feel sick about how often she came over, just to hold it over him. I'm honestly at a loss on how to make that up to him. Update 2. I took a leave of absence from work, and we spent a long time together. We agreed to do a DNA test immediately to prove paternity and then go from there. To everyone's surprise, Alice's daughter is not my husband. We ended up testing twice, both very, very definitive. The first test we performed ourselves, as mentioned, and another after Alexis refused to believe the first test and took my husband to court for child support. Alexis says that Alice told her my husband was the father under strict confidence, demanding that she never tell me or my husband. We were only ever to be told if Alexis died before Alice's daughter was old enough to take care of herself so that she wouldn't end up in foster care. The only reason Alexis came to us then, instead of keeping that secret, is because Alice's life insurance wasn't being released yet, and she was out of options. She also felt I should know my husband and her daughter had had an affair. Alice did enough damage, and I don't particularly plan to be around anymore. My husband and I have gone through a lot of counseling, and will likely continue for a while. This whole situation damaged us both, my husband more obviously, and I don't think we'll fully heal for a very long while. I do, however, have some good news. During my leave of absence, while my husband and I rediscovered what makes us love each other the most, I got pregnant. We're expecting our first baby, a girl, in a little over 3 months, and my husband and I are ecstatic. And no, we will not be naming her after my dead ex-best friend.